Hey folks, it's Sir Charles Carey, and we've got another live one for you today. I see the weather's coming, so I gotta close the window a bit. Oh yeah. But once again, we've got another live show today. We've got a really good conversation coming up, and hopefully I want to encourage you to ask questions, post comments, whatever it is that hits your mind. And today, this guest that we have, I've happened to know him for quite some time. I'm still trying to figure out how can I capture the same cadence, get that same natural baritone, because he's got a nice, rich baritone. It seems like a lot of my friends that are in the business, they have that sound, the golden voice type sound, and he is no different. But you are witnessing what's your come up story. I'm Sir Charles Carey. K-Fit will join us in a bit, I'm imagining. But today's guest is Dominic Brightmon. Man, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Sir Charles. I appreciate it. Appreciate it indeed. I can't believe it's been, my goodness, wow, 4 years maybe? 2018?
It's been a while since we've had a conversation. I mean, I know there's been events that we've done. There's been just a lot, and I know you've been doing a lot as well. So one of the first things I want to ask you about is, I know you call you like a podcast producer. Would you agree that's a good title? One of your many hats?
Oh, it's a big hat too. Yeah, that's one of the many hats.
Right. Because I remember being on your podcast many years ago, and, I think I was like getting a lot of hits. A lot of people must have liked that conversation we were having. And then somebody topped me, and I was like, Dom, I got to come back. I'm trying to stay on top, man, But it was a good experience. It was a really good experience. Now, how long have you been doing the podcast?
Actually, coming up on 5 years. It's actually September 14th, 2017 it started. So 5-year anniversary coming up.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm going to throw some numbers at you. No, I'm going to have you throw some numbers at me. I know you didn't expect this, but I got to do it to you. Sorry, Dom. How many podcasts have you done to date?
Oh my goodness. And if we're counting that the ones that haven't been released, at least around a good 610 at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Mother Nature's getting a little bit voicey. So I had to close that window. But okay. Over 600 podcasts in the past 5 years. That's amazing, man. And you've had topics of various proportions, speakers, authors, trainers. Give me some of the top, I don't know if I should say top podcasts, or some of the different topics that some of your guests are known for.
Sure thing. So the good thing about the show, it's really all about advancing yourself. And the thing is, listeners want to advance themselves in multiple ways in the areas of health, wealth, and happiness. And those are broad topics, and they can branch out in multiple ways under the umbrella. So for happiness, that can involve spiritual expertise. I've had some spiritualists on the show. Of course, not all of them Christian, because we can learn from many different religions and actually borrow from and see what applies and see what doesn't. And when it comes to also health, that physical health, especially, I think it was on a few months ago, had a doctor on the show, Dr. Heather Moday, who actually released a book called The Immunotype Breakthrough. And one thing she touched on was the loneliness epidemic across the country, especially during the pandemic. I even remember, I think it was 2021, where they mentioned in Canada that a lot of the animal shelters, they were basically out of cats because a lot of folks were adopting cats because a lot of folks were stuck home by themselves, especially with Canada being one of the most aggressive lockdown countries on the globe. So they were like, oh, I need to have a pet or something. And my family, they might be a little on the crazy side of the game. I may have learned a little too much about family. Like, oh, let me get this pet right here so they don't talk to me in plain English. They may meow at me or whatever. And they'll be like, let me talk to this cat for a second. But yeah, so many different topics.
But the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if animals do start talking. I mean, just that science is doing so many things we don't even know about. In fact, a little bit earlier before the show, I was asking you about harp, which was something I learned about many years ago, and it's just like amazing that because of what's happening on the West Coast in California, we are. I mean, I can't say we know, but we seem to know that there is this mechanism or this ability to create weather patterns. And if California is in trouble, I don't know why the scientists don't try to utilize it for the benefit of saving the acreage and saving some of the people there. But then again, yes, we do know why they don't use it. You can't be found out if you're not exposed. So, but yeah, man, you've done a lot. I know you're a podcast producer, you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a Toastmaster. I mean, you've been doing so many things. We're in the same industry pretty much. What got you started into Toastmasters?
Solid question. What got me into Toastmasters was actually networking opportunities. I actually was going to be spearheading and being the chairperson for a public speaking seminar at my church at the time. This was back in 2014. And I originally sought out to actually network and see if I can find a speaker to do the seminar. So that way I don't have to do everything at that time. Didn't want to do that. And about a good few months later, after joining in September of 2013, the seminar was a success. But the thing
Nice.
was, I was at a crossroads because the thing was, I was like, do I continue with Toastmasters because of the speaking opportunities, or do I just go back to just focusing on my day job? And I'm so glad I didn't stick with just my day job alone. I actually joined an additional Toastmasters club and gave more speeches. And I actually went to another meeting and heard a speech called You Are the Boss. And the speaker gave his 3 points of how to act like a leader. You have to be audacious, contagious, and tenacious. And I'm like,
How
wow,
long
this
ago
is
was that?
good.
Because you still remember the tips.
Yes, that was almost wow, 24. That's 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago. It's amazing. That's how much of an impact that talk laid on me. I was like, wow, it really stuck with me, and I was sold then, and I'm glad I did. We probably would never been able to meet if I didn't stay in Toastmasters because that got me into eventually having the confidence enough to write a book and to start a podcast and really take charge of my own life and my own development.
Wow. So let me just ask you this. Um, you got in Toastmasters, and because of Toastmasters, and I believe the way that you were able to excel in Toastmasters, you eventually wrote a book. What's the title of your book?
Oh, sure thing. The first one is called Going North Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself. Going North Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself. And I like to call it a synthesized package for the distracted mind because it's under 100 pages and you can take your time with each chapter if you so choose because we're in the attention management age where everything's vying for your attention and you have to decide where you're going to put your eyes on certain things and where you're going to dedicate your time because at the end of the day we're managing where our attention goes and that's where our time goes. We're not really managing time, we're managing our attention.
Wow, that is powerful right there. I see my co-host is trying to come in. Let me send her the link again because I don't see her in the green room. Actually, I just sent it to her in Facebook Messenger so she can go to Facebook Messenger and retrieve it. Um, Man, so I see that you've evolved. You've gone through Toastmasters. You've written you just spoke about your second book or your first book?
Yep, so just go to the first book, Going North. The follow-up was Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success.
So will there be a
And
trilogy, or how does that work?
yeah, so there's definitely going to be, I'd say there's definitely going to be a trilogy, but right now my third solo book is it's going to be a massive project broken down into two different books. It's going to be based on podcasting and book writing. The working title is Pod Book It, the 3 phases to greatness to write a book, launch a podcast, and create a legacy. Because in today's society, folks really want to know how to do one or both. And if you can do both, you'll put yourself at an advantage because one, you have a book, you get to put your story out there, and two, the podcast is a vehicle to really reach more people because not everybody can read. There may be blind folks who may want to hear your story. And
Right.
that's even one of the benefits of platforms like these.
Right, absolutely. And let me try to make this platform look a little bit nice. I'm going to go to another screen. Just bear with me one moment. Okay, so I've got me there, and let me throw you in. Let's see. See, everyone can see this, so let me get to it. Cut to the chase. I think I got you right there. Bang, and then we can get rid of this for now because we don't have to have that there. And boop and poop. Cool. Yeah, man. So look, so now I understand now that you've got your books out, you got another project, what you're talking about, podcasting and writing a book, kind of like what I've done with Tell Your Story, Live Your Story, Be Your Story. Remember, you came to my workshop, and I think that's great that you're able to take some of those early lessons and your own experience, and you're combining it for a totally different feel, which is powerful. I think it's just a smart move to make because a lot of people don't really zone in on their gifts the way that they could or the way that they should. So I definitely get it. Definitely, hopefully, that turns out the way you want it to and the way you need it to. That's a powerful tool. So now, folks, if you're just chiming in, we're speaking with Dominic Brightmon. He's a podcast producer. He is a author and he is a Toastmaster. And as you see, he's very busy. He's been podcasting for about 5 years and I've done over 600 shows. So I think he knows a thing or two about podcasting and being an entrepreneur from one perspective or another. Where can people hear your podcast?
That's the beautiful thing. I'm not like Joe Rogan where I'm only on Spotify. I'm on Spotify and wherever you can find podcasts. So
Okay.
YouTube, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can find podcasts, I'm definitely going to be there.
So was that a shot at Joe Rogan? Does he know about you? What's up?
He doesn't know about me yet.
All right,
But
all
I'm
right.
not getting in the ring with him, no. That dude's got a sick roundhouse kick.
Yeah, I know. No, I heard about that. We got a couple of questions, so I want to see if I can try to field some of these questions. Let's see. Where are we? Where's the questions? Yeah, this storm is really booming, man. I hear it. Thunder and lightning. Okay, so someone says, I'm trying to see, why don't I see the, oh, here we go. I guess I got to put my specs on. Not as young as I used to be, Dom.
Hey, it's all good.
Someone said something about, do you have audiobooks? I thought I read up in the message here. Oh yeah, there's another question, but let me just let you address that one first. Do you have audiobooks of the two that are currently published?
Yes, sir. Both my books are in audio form, so you can take me on the go if you don't have time to read or don't feel like reading. So you got
And and
options, y'all.
and where can I get those audiobooks? Is it Audible or is it somewhere else?
And the beautiful thing is, it's all available on audible.com. So if you have an Audible credit, or actually don't even waste the credit, just go ahead and buy the book. It's they made it like ultra discounted cheap. It's like $4.74. That's like a
Oh
Reese
yeah,
cup.
yeah,
You'll be
you can't
fine.
beat that. Yeah, that's really great. And both books, correct?
Both books, Going North and Stay the Course, and I did both of them myself. So don't worry, I didn't outsource that part of it. I know folks
Okay.
like hearing the voice.
Yeah, right, right. Someone said, "What's your strength as an entrepreneur?"
Oh wow. I have to say my strength as an entrepreneur is definitely connecting other people. That's definitely my main strength because one of the major things is that I've noticed that life moves at the speed of your relationships. I've yet to find out who originated or coined that phrase, but I just love that phrase because it's so true. Because in Toastmasters, I actually advanced in the leadership area to become a division director, all because of relationships. A Toastmaster was giving a speech one day at a convention in Towson, Maryland, and going there to support him, I actually found a Toastmaster table that wasn't set up yet, and they just had one guy to man the table. So me being a fellow Toastmaster wasn't to helped him out for the morning before my buddy got up to speak, and enjoyed the help. I mean, he let me know about opportunities to really volunteer and assist at a higher level. And that happened all because I decided to have a cheerful, helpful spirit and really connect with him. And he connected me with other people that I'm still friends with to this day. So definitely networking is my superpower as an entrepreneur.
Well, that's fantastic. I think it's great. Sometimes, it's funny. There's a men's group that I join on. I think it's Tuesdays, and sometimes I'm so busy. And every Tuesday, I say, I don't have time. But then I wind up going to the group, and when I do, that's when the reward comes in. So giving of yourself is really a very positive experience to have, and something positive to go through or to deal with. So I get it, totally get it, man. That's great. Glad things worked out. Another comment was saying that they were new to podcasting. Um, any tips? Any podcasting tips can you offer for podcasters or people interested?
Sure thing. I'll drop three. Well, the first one is definitely have fun with it. Definitely have fun with podcasting because yes, it's great as a business tool. It even gives you an advantage as a business tool. That I was able to grow my influence through a podcast. Second thing is be consistent. One of the things that is a little disheartening as a podcast listeners when you find a new podcast and they only got maybe 6, 10, 20 episodes up, and their last episode was in 2020 or 2021, and it's like, oh, I guess they're one of those pandemic podcasts that had the free time, and it was like, oh yeah, you got to come back to work now, and it's like, oh, I guess I won't do a podcast anymore. So always be consistent. Consistency compounds, and it will compound into some magic for you.
Yeah,
And the third one is, oh, go ahead. No, you're the
no,
host.
no, no. Go ahead. No, you're good, man.
Oh, okay. Have fun. Definitely be consistent. And the third thing is to always grow as you go, always get better, because when I listen to my old episodes I cringe because of my old microphone setup. I had some equipment that was a little bit on the janky side of the game, and I switched over to just using my headphones and my phone, and the content itself was good, but the sound quality wasn't as good as it is now. So definitely grow as you go and always seek to better yourself as you're going along, and listen to your listeners as well when they come in and listen, because they'll give you some tips too, and to help you grow and get better.
Okay, okay. I had look. The questions just keep coming in. One of the questions is, "Are you who you inspire?" I think they want to say, "Are you who you intended to be?" As far as your career or as an entrepreneur, are you the person you intended to be?
Now that's a deep question I never thought I'd get. That's a good one too. I'd have to say yes for now, because at the end of the day, the direction that I've gone into, it
Uh huh.
wasn't expected, but the actions were definitely intentional for, I'd say, 85% of what I'm doing now, because my goal with everything I'm doing, one of the major goals, a stretch goal, is to interview over 1,000 different authors across the globe, and I'm pretty much going to be there in about a good 2 years' time. But I'm also enjoying the journey, and it's just those things to stretch me and to keep me going as far as I can go. So I have to say, yes, definitely where I intended to be for the most part.
Okay, so I don't know if you've ever heard this question, but here it comes. What was a young Dominic like? Not
Oh,
that you're
young
old.
Dominic was, oh, nah, not even old either. uh, Not even old either. But yeah, definitely younger Dom was a lot quieter, a lot more shy. Wouldn't be on this microphone today. I'd have, I'm actually an extroverted introvert now, and that's developed over time. Back then, I was full turtle shell introvert. You could barely get me around folks to talk. It was just interesting. But after discovering my voice, the gift that God's given me, this voice to about growing up in church when I was a teenager, after doing a morning prayer during youth day and just being called on to do so many things, that really gave me an edge. And that's actually one of the greatest things, is to really know your why, is when you know why you exist and you discover one of your gifts and you find out that you can help others with it. That will definitely give you a huge confidence boost. And yeah, so definitely. So younger Dom was a lot more shy back then, not as witty back then either. So definitely some changes have happened. I'm a bigger redwood now.
Look, I can relate. I know that music, as you know, is my true first love, and I desperately wanted the opportunity to sing and perform, and I really just could not wait as a youngster to get that opportunity and to be able to take advantage of it. And finally, the day came. I had an opportunity to show my stuff, but it was still nerve wracking for me. But finally, because of the ability to speak and some of the life challenges I had, I was able to conquer that fear. And the introvert doesn't live here anymore. Yeah, but what would you say was one of your biggest challenges growing up?
I'd have to say one of my biggest challenges growing up, it actually was becoming part-time caregiver for my dying father after
Oh wow.
July of 2012, because actually about 5 days, 5 days and 10 years ago. Yeah, it's actually been 10 years since my father actually went out and got lost on the road. He actually got lost in Silver Spring, Maryland, of all the cities. We were like, why the heck is he over there for? Like, we ain't going to
Wow.
South Carolina to see family. And he was driving on the wrong side of the road. So he basically had to take his license. And it was a good thing that I got my driver's license 2009, a few years before, so that way I was confident behind the wheel, had some confidence under my belt, and was able to help out with my mom and dad, because they were up there in age and they were elderly. And that was probably one of the most difficult things, was just really seeing my father go through his basically his last few years on earth. But I will say there was some solace in it, because I learned more about him in those last 6 years than the other 19 years, because like I learned more about his past, especially since he was a veteran, and we found his DD 214, so he can get some of those veteran benefits that he never got. And just seeing Negroid listed on the DD 214 was just amazing, because I'm like, wow, like just
Right.
amazing how far we've come in terminology and things like that. So that was definitely one of the most difficult things, but it had its rewards. Definitely had its
Sure,
rewards
sure.
as well.
Which war or which interaction was he in? Was it Vietnam? Was it Gulf? What do you know what it was?
Yes, actually, two. He actually served in World War II in the 82nd Airborne Division and had two combat jumps. And he came back and served again during the Korean War as well. So he had
Oh,
about a
the
good
Korean
12
conflict.
years
Okay.
altogether.
Yeah, my dad was
Yeah.
in the Korean conflict as well. Bad thing for me though, and I mean everything happens for a reason. I wasn't able to benefit from his service. I believe my stepmom had some issues with giving the information, so I wasn't able to participate. But such
Wow.
is life. I think I've been cared for in ways that maybe I just have no idea. So I'm still grateful. Wow. There's another question. See if I can try to get to. No, before I get to that question, what would you say was your best upside to date? What was one of what has been one of the highlights of your life, personal or professional?
Wow. One of the best highlights. Wow. I'd have to say definitely. Wow. That's a good question. Because, like,
I
oh,
mean,
which one do I
outside of
pick?
meeting me. I mean, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
That's right. Me and Sir Charles Carey at the Country Inn Suites in 2018, baby.
There you go. There you go. Oh man, but not
Oh
really
man.
though. What would what has that been for you?
I'd have to say, finally getting the proof copy of my first book, Going North, because seeing it tangible, being able to hold it, I felt like Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12 holding the World Championship belt. It was like, oh shoot, the boyhood dream has finally been realized. My name's at the bottom of this book. I'm actually an author. It's like I'm not just reading the books, I'm writing them now. It's just amazing transition, and it was just a reminder that hey, if you can focus and really take that intentional action, you can manifest what you truly desire and want out of life if you do the right things to make things happen. And just go from shelving and reading books to having a book of my own. It was like wow, it's just that transition, and heck, another confidence boost. Really, confidence helps you really with a lot of things in life, and once you get that confidence and it's rock solid, there's no telling how much you can accomplish and how many people you can help at a high level.
Yeah, but so my question now is, you said to finally get that book. So was it something that you always aspired to become an author?
I'd have to say it wasn't a reality at first because that didn't happen until I would say around 2015 when it actually came to me as a possible idea because I heard a young guy speak at Toastmasters who had a book, the same guy who gave the Act Like a Leader speech. And since he was 2 years older than me with the book, I'm like, wow, okay, I think I could do that when I'm like maybe late 30s, early 40s.
Right.
And I was reading a book called The Magic of Getting What You Want by David Schwartz. And
Oh
in
yeah.
that book, it mentioned, yeah, like reading, like basically writing out your own obituary. And for some reason, I was like, you know what? I'll just write down that I'm a best selling author of a certain number of books. And funny enough, a few months later, the opportunity to really open that door revealed itself where I was at a networking event handing out reading lists to people, and one of the ladies I handed the reading list to, she looked at the list and was like, "Hey, where's your name on this list as an author? I see your info at the bottom as the contact info, but where's your name here as an author?" And I'm like, I don't have one. I was 22 at the time. I'm like, hey, what the heck am I going to write about? I'm 22. And she was like, hey, how about a year from today, you write your very first book? And I was like, man, that sounds freaking cool. I am so not doing that. And she was like, hey, how about we both write our books a year from today? And I'm
Right.
like, wow, that is like next level right there. And for some reason, the whole negative thoughts, negative self beliefs came out. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. Still sounds too intense. And just basically that was the end of the conversation there, but I still took the dare upon myself and gave myself a year to get it done. And I told people I was going to get it done, and don't want to be one of those people who talks for years and years saying, hey, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do this thing, and you see nothing, you see no progress at all. And I guess it was just that fear of not only letting others down but letting myself down by not actually doing what I say I was going to do. So that was probably one of the major reasons why I just felt like, oh, finally, actually did it, got it in a timeline, and it just felt good at that time.
I got you. I got you. Let me get to that question now. Um, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self about life if that was possible? This question is in regards to you speaking to your younger self. What would you tell you about you? These questions are
Well, what I would
coming
tell
from
them,
my co-host K Fit. I made some changes which I kind of messed up the format for her. That's why she's not with us. And I kind of like, man, it was a last minute shift, and I probably should have left things until the next show. But she's still on, and she's in the group, and she's fielding questions. So this question is coming from her. What would you tell your 18-year-old version of you?
I'd have to say join Toastmasters because the thing is, at 23, at 22, yeah, 22, I joined and I thought there was a networking opportunity, but I became a better speaker after joining. I just didn't come in every word, the whole Baptist church speaking style. Actually came learned to be more conversational, insert more humor into my presentations and to be more conversational. So I can just imagine how further I would have gotten if I joined at 18 without that 4 to 5 year like gap, and would have probably gotten a lot faster in progress. So definitely joining Toastmasters, reading personal development and leadership books, like reading especially John Maxwell's books and of course Sir Charles Carey's books as well. Got to radiate the brain and change the game, as the legend says, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
just
Yes,
reading
sir.
those
I
books
appreciate
early
that.
as
Yes,
opposed
sir.
to waiting to get into a car accident.
It's funny, when you talk about Toastmasters, when I first got involved with Toastmasters, I kind of was hoodwinked. Someone said, "Hey, why don't you come to the meeting?" I was like, "What meeting? You'd be perfect for it." And, this is going back many years ago. And I think I was at HUD doing some contract work. And, I like dressing up. So I'm in a suit. And I guess they said, "Hey, he looks like a good candidate. Get him." So I go to the meeting, and lo and behold, I loved it. And, I would speak at contests. And, then when I left that club, I went to another club, had my membership transferred. And I just, I really fell in love with the art or the craft of speaking. And bad enough, can't shut me up ever. So, it was a perfect marriage, So, and I tell people a lot of times that speaking, public speaking, being a Toastmaster or being a keynote speaker, it's almost the same as performing music when I did with my band. It's just rocking the stage or rocking the mic without a melody. So I love it. Yeah. So now, one of the things that there's a lot going on in the world today. So one of the things that happens is we have a segment that we call "So What Do You Think?" And when we play this segment, it's like we just chime in with one another and give our own perspectives on, so what do you think? So today's topic on "So What Do You Think?" or the question is, so what do you think about Brittany Griner?
Yeah, Brittany Griner, and she actually got sentenced today, if I'm not mistaken, 9 years in Russian prison with a $16,000 fine on top of that. So, it's definitely a rough situation, and it's sad that they couldn't even make that exchange. 'Cause I know they actually made it public that Biden was actually trying to do an exchange with some, I believe, one or two Russian spies for Brittany Griner, and that fell through. I felt like that probably should have maybe been hidden, but that was probably just him and his administration responding to the media that's going on. But it's definitely a sad situation. I wish it didn't happen, but the thing is, it also, there's a lesson in that, is that you have to be aware of your surroundings, because even like the thing about being in America is that we're somewhat spoiled by the freedoms that we're allowed to have, and especially with like weed being legalized in a lot of the states and a lot of parts of the country. And even so, being an athlete, especially one with the name of Brittany Griner, you have a little bit of a celebrity to you, and being a celebrity in America, that allows you certain higher levels of privileges that other folks don't have,
Yeah.
and that may not always transfer overseas. So really, it's just a lesson in awareness. Like, just because things may be okay in one area, that doesn't mean it's going to fly in another area, especially when it's something like weed. Even though there's studies out there that shows the benefits of cannabis, at the same time there's other parts of the country where they're like, nah, we still don't want you smoking that over here.
Right, exactly. And I'm not torn, but I am a little bit, because one, I think the penalty was extremely tough and rough. Number two, I think that that's her own fault for not realizing what she was doing, traveling, and maybe some countries she went to, she didn't have a problem. I don't know, but it's rough when you make a mistake and you're penalized heavily for it in that fashion. And I do know that they were talking about, again, like you said, making a trade with a Russian spy that's in Germany or something of that nature. Um, in America, we don't compromise with terrorists, right? So now, are you going to do it? Are you
Mhm.
not going to do it? So it's really a rough spot to be in, and I don't know, how she's going to handle it. I don't know, of course, if she's going to do the whole 9 years or how they're going to make this really work out. I kind of feel bad for her, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I do feel personally that Putin doesn't have to make it this tough. He's doing it on purpose because we're not standing
Yep.
alone and being quiet because of Ukraine. So I don't know. It's just rough, man. I definitely don't want any hurt, harm, or danger to come to her. I mean, I don't know what's her affiliation because I know she's gay, but I don't know the right terminology, her or by the name. But I just hope for the best for the sake of her family. That's all I can say is really. But yeah, man. So now going back out of that segment into the regular part of the show. In fact, let's see if there's any questions from the audience before we move on. Someone says it's crazy. She's got 9 years. Think, yeah. She said that's crazy. She got 9 years. Yeah, gosh. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, guys, if you got any questions about this segment, so what do you think? Please feel free to post your comment. That was K Fit. Please feel free to post your comment about the Brittany Griner case outcome. Yeah, that's probably the best way of putting it. But yeah, so now what's next for Dominic? What's next for the business? Is the podcast/book episode or project the next thing? What's next for you?
Good question. So right now in the progress of the first phase with the podcasting piece, just getting a big brain dump and putting all that into a giant Google Doc and taking some notes on that. So in the progress with that, looking to have that out before the year is over, definitely to help out folks. And eventually doing more speaking as well, because I still have a full time day job just to make ends meet on top of this. Because the thing about entrepreneurship, folks like to sell the glory, the love story of it. They don't share the whole thing, they don't get the whole story. And they may hear like a Gary Vee TikTok video or something and be like, you know what, I want to do just that, without realizing, oh yeah, it's actually real out here. You have to eat what you kill out here. So basically, eventually making that jump into full-time entrepreneurship within a couple of years or less. So definitely looking into the full-time entrepreneurship when the side also becomes the main hustle. More books, definitely more speaking engagements, and more traveling. Depending on what happens with everything going on, I know they said that apparently monkeypox is a national health crisis now. So I'm like, oh god, all right, well, we'll see what happens now with that
Yeah, like we
and
really
everything else
needed
going
that,
on.
right?
Yeah, we still got this darn COVID out here changing luchador masks with these variants. So it's like, oh, here's another one for you. Like, oh joy. All right.
I tell you, if it's not one thing, it's definitely something else. But just to let folks know, there's a lot going on. I know for myself as well. So I'll see if I can share this really quickly. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. Upcoming. Let's see if this, here it is. Bam. Now, will it show though? I can't see it. It's not showing. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong place? No, I don't think so. I'm trying to show is got an event. Can you see that, Dom? Is it on the screen?
Not my view.
A little
Let's
flyer.
see.
Okay. Well, I wanted to try to show a flyer for an upcoming event that I've got coming out. Really kind of excited about it. And in about 2 weeks, we'll be in Cleveland, Ohio, for the National Training Institute events. That's something I've done quite a bit, and we'll be continuing to do more of that. August. I forget August. Let me go change the screen really quick. I think it's the 16th through, there it is. August, there it is on the screen. 15th through the 18th. I'll be in Cleveland, Ohio, doing an event, presenting basically off a couple of my books, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. And then the other one is called What's So Hard About Being You. So I'm excited about the opportunity to do that. And then we're working on something else that's coming up later in the year. I think it's around, I don't think I know, in October. And, hopefully we can get a little bit more information to folks so that you can participate in this upcoming event we're excited about. It's called Clear Vision, Seeing It Before It's There. So let me go back and show that as well. Clear Vision, Seeing It Before It's There. October 29th, that's on a Saturday. It's a full live event. We're looking for sponsors. We've got some really top caliber presenters that are going to be presenting at this event. because vision is the ultimate thing. If I have anything to say about it, because everything starts with mindset, and your mindset and your vision, they work hand in hand so that things can come to fruition. So we're going to be presenting on how to actually see what you want, what you're after, and how to make it real, how to materialize that thing. Myself and a gentleman by the name of Dr. Brian Champion, we've been working together recently, and we're going to bring it to the to the DMV on October 29th. So we're excited about that as well. Man, do you have any? What's your contact information?
Sure thing. It's all on one wonderful site, dombrightman.com, dombrightman.com. There's a contact page there. All my social media pages and things like that is at Dom Brightman. So easy branding, make it easier for everybody else. You type in Dom Brightman, you can find me easily.
So it's Dom, not Dominic, just dombrightman.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed.
Okay.
Name's long enough as it is. I'm like,
I know that's right. Well, look, man,
folks don't,
I
folks don't want
re-
to type it.
no, I understand. Trust me, I really appreciate you. Give me some of your time because I know you've got a lot to do. Anytime someone's amassed 600 podcasts of various proportions, various topics, speaking to people of various demographics, that takes some time and some doing. So I definitely appreciate that. Listen, man, we'd like to get you to come back sometime in the future as well. It was great having you on the show, and we look forward to seeing you again, man.
Hey, I'm honored. Thank you so much, Sir Charles.
You better believe it.